What's up, everybody? Welcome to SWAT MMA. We're smoking weed and talking mixed martial arts. My name is Jared. I'm here with Paul.
What up?
This is episode 89, coming to you from the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas. Today, we are going to be smoking and talking all about the Ben Askren versus Jake Paul boxing match, the upcoming BKFC Knucklemania featuring the debut of Paige VanZant, plus UFC news, including the fallout from the Conor McGregor-Dustin Poirier matchup, the upcoming fight night Las Vegas, plus heavyweight title news finally in the picture for sure. Before we get into all that combat sports action, let's get started with our weed of the week.
Smoke weed every day.
All right, whatever you're smoking on, fire it up and let's get into it. We are smoking on some Ghost OG today. This is a pretty simple strain, man. We've been working our way through a lot of OGs, Paul.
Yep.
And this is simply a cut of OG Kush that's crossed with Afghani.
Okay.
We also got some Ghost Train Haze Diamonds in our packs 3, and that is Ghost OG, once again crossed with Neville's Wreck.
Okay.
So, you know, it doesn't really matter so much the strain when it comes to some THCA diamonds, but technically it has the Ghost OG as well.
I fuck with it.
So that's it for the weed today. We're running a little bit low on strains, but high on THC. Let's get into some combat sports, though, man. What an interesting
we got some interesting
interesting things upcoming.
Interesting topics, some interesting fights coming up, some kind of sideshow fights. But so let's just
let's get into the sideshow.
Yeah, let's kind of get into the sideshow aspect first, and we'll get into the real fight.
So Jake Paul, is it Jake or Logan? Logan's fighting.
Well, let's talk about that first. Then actually, Logan is supposed to be fighting Floyd Mayweather, but now it's been postponed.
Right, supposedly due to the Wu flu and some complications, quote unquote.
Well, I was hearing Brendan Shaw talk about this, and he was saying that a bunch of it has to do with. So I guess they put out like pre-pay-per-view sale, right? Like if you bought pay-per-view before, you got it for cheaper with blah, blah, blah. And I guess it barely did any sales whatsoever. And who
wants to watch that, Paul?
Well, no. Good question.
I know you don't.
But here's the problem. Here's the thing, though, is at the same time, who orders pay-per-views early? How many pay-per-views have you ordered 5 days? Not 5 days in advance, even more than that. It's like, what, 21?
Never. I just ordered the Conor McGregor Dustin Poirier pay-per-view. I ordered it the day of the fight.
Yeah, seconds before it starts. Yeah. And that's the thing. So they did this all because of pre-sale. But who the fuck buys pay-per-views at pre-sale?
Yeah, I don't think that's an accurate way to judge the market. And if you're that worried about it,
well, it's a shit fight to begin with.
It's garbage.
But you know what I'm saying?
No boxing fan wants to see it.
But you know what I'm saying?
Jake Paul's
even if they
or Logan Paul's fans
they wouldn't be buying it fucking a month and a half early.
No.
You know what I mean?
I've bought dozens, hundreds, I don't know. Too many pay-per-views to count. I've never, ever ordered
it
early.
The earliest I've ever ordered a pay-per-view is like the night before when I'm scrolling through ESPN and be like, oh, yeah, I'm ordering it tomorrow anyways. Might as well get it out of the way.
They'd have to be doing some sliding
a month and a half before? Like, Jesus, come on. So that fight's now postponed, which, who knows, maybe that fight deteriorates altogether.
Ooh, boo-hoo.
I know, right?
What are we going to do?
I know.
If we don't see Floyd Mayweather beat up a 1-0 amateur level boxer.
He's not even 1-0. He's 0-1-1.
Whatever the fuck he is. He's any fucking 15-year-old Golden Gloves boxer on the planet will kick his ass 6 ways from fucking Sunday.
Well, that's the thing, is the whole sideshow of it, he said, is supposed to be he's way bigger than Floyd and blah, 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 blah. It's like, who fucking cares, dude?
Right. At least his brother there's somewhat, I think there's a little bit more interest in the fucking Ben Askren versus Jake Paul fight. At least being an MMA fan, because we're all tired of hearing him yap.
Yeah.
And we're hoping Ben can shut him up, but it's Ben Askren.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great MMA fighter.
Yeah.
We're not clowning his MMA.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of shitty, the disrespect that's been shown to Ben Askren here lately.
I do too.
It's one thing to say his striking in an MMA fight is not his game. It's
not. Never.
Why would
be.
it be his strong point? What would the point of that be?
Yeah.
If you know nothing about the man, he's a highly decorated wrestler, an Olympian, and more. Multiple award winner, national champ. What is it, the Dan Hodge Award or something like that? I don't know my wrestling awards that well.
Two-time Hodge winner.
Yeah, two-time Hodge winner, right? Two-time national champ, Olympian.
Yeah, all that.
19-0, 2 champion in 1, champion in Bellator.
Yep. Had some mixed results in the
Mixed
UFC.
results at the ass end of his career with a busted hip when he's 36 and finally makes it in the UFC. Not giving him excuses, but at the same time, that's reality. It's not like he hit the UFC in his prime. He's fucking old.
Yeah.
We all thought it when it came over, like, oh, finally.
Well, you know what?
But
I think he's also part of that fucking generation of the UFC. Because like we've talked about many times on this show, ultimately the sport's only going on, 27, 28 years old. Yeah. So when you think about, like, where the sport has really evolved, it's really been the mixing of like, we're not seeing as many specialists really being able to take over the UFC anymore. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It's a lot more hybrid type fighters. Whereas like people like Ben Askren and people like Khabib and stuff like that, they've been wrestling since birth. Whereas like guys now are training MMA at 6 years old, 7 years old. Like not wrestling, not boxing, Muay Thai, or break down all the break down all the disciplines, and ultimately now kids they're training them all at such a young age that you're getting guys that are coming up into the ranks now that are all going to be such hybrid like fighters that guys like Ben Askren, like it was just kind of what happened when he was in the UFC. He kind of ran into a wall of like you're a specialist in a ever-growing sport.
But the point being, this man is a fighter. He's a highly decorated fighter.
Yeah.
He knows how to be in a cage, a ring, whatever, with another person.
See, I think,
and he's done it in other disciplines. He knows how to move his weight around. Yeah. He's had punches coming at him from a lot of highly decorated people.
And dodged a lot.
And dodged a lot. And he's never, up until Jorge Masvidal, he'd never been knocked down, let alone knocked out in a fight. Yeah. So let's not act like he's suddenly some fucking knucklehead that can't fucking fight.
And literally, like, come on, like, that knockout was so, like, planned. Like, you know what I mean? Whereas, like, he knew what Ben was coming with and just literally
even the way he planned it, it was still it wasn't a fluke, but it
wasn't
was a fluke.
But yeah, it was a fucking,
like, everything aligned perfectly. He could have whiffed on that as well, and the fight could have gone on, and we never would have had this happen.
They fight again, who knows what happens? You know, like, because we've seen that happen to George. We watched it happen with Kamaru and stuff.
Shut that a little. Yeah, he's not necessarily. It wouldn't. He's not going to get laid out again. Like, I think it's really dumb, this whole Masvidal going over to Paul's and showing him the quote-unquote secrets to knocking out Ben Askren. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Weak.
This is a guy that kind of annoyed me about Masvidal, because I've always liked Masvidal. I've been a fan since long before the fucking BMF bullshit. He's lost a lot of steam, but he's always been about keeping it real, right? Street cred, like he's a real dude. He's about mixed martial arts. And then he goes over and hangs out with this fucking ass clown who's nothing real about him, all right? He's not a real fighter, and in fact, he's shitting all over mixed martial arts. He says boxing is an art and MMA is a brawl. And then he goes over there and he's like, dude, that was just a money play. I get it. You got paid.
You got your likes. You got your...
But from a guy who, like, clowns on Colby for being fake, like, what did you just do, man?
What did you just do,
Like, come on.
Well, if you look at it, they kind of rode the same train in the end. Like, ultimately, like, everything Colby was doing, Masvidal did the same thing.
Right.
On the back end, so it's like...
Except Colby ain't running from the fucking fight, so I'm sorry. At this point, Masvidal
That's what I'm
is
saying.
ducking
That's
the
why
Colby
he's lost
fight.
steam.
I don't think
that's
you
why he's lost
deny
steam.
it.
It's like he's not fighting.
No.
Like, he did that whole thing with Usman, and he showed up out of shape and all that shit. And, like, I can't fault him for that. You know, it's 8 days' notice or whatever the fuck it was.
He says every opportunity. As far as I understand, Colby Covington has signed a contract, and Dana White is like, we want that fight. And Masvidal is radio silent publicly, ignoring everything, but he sure shit ain't signing nothing. That's the only holdup from as far as the UFC said publicly and Colby has said publicly. Yeah. And I think that's a shitty look. Like, he had all this build-up. Mm-hmm. Now you got Usman coming out within the past few days talking about he wants to fight Masvidal again because the first time he didn't finish him.
Well, you got Usman really also. Did you see that other statement he also made? I know this is totally off topic, but this is how we're running shit today. But fucking also Usman came out recently and was talking about how nobody will ever necessarily like while he's fighting say he's the greatest, but when they look back on his career and see how many 10-8 rounds he had and how many times he beat people 50-45 or whatever the fuck,
I saw
that
it.
he'll be considered the greatest of all time. I was like, maybe. But I don't really think that he's like.
You can't call for a fight against the guy whose ass you just kicked.
Yeah. Well, then
Who
also.
hasn't fought since you kicked his ass.
And also then say that you're one of the greatest of all time. You've only defended the title, what, 3 times? 2 times?
No, he's not there yet. Not even in the conversation.
Yeah,
But
I don't like that shit.
I'd like to see if he can get by Burns, but that's next week's show.
All right, let's get back on topic now.
Yeah.
So back to Jake Paul. Yeah, that was kind of a bitch move by Masvidal. Kind of just like, not a bitch move, but it was a more of
That's
a.
what you got to do to make money, but
yeah,
you've been riding this whole keeping it real street level MMA motherfucker, hanging out with real fighters.
Yeah.
That dude's a clown. I'm sorry, I don't care.
Yeah, it was.
I'm pretty sure the solid training camp, I could kick his ass. 'Cause
No.
I got more boxing experience.
You're crazy.
I know. I'm just high.
No, but that's the thing is like, Jake Paul is like.
I'm talking about Paul. Not
Yeah, obviously not Masvidal. I'm also like, Jake Paul's like the owner of bitch moves. Like at this point, it seems like he just
It's just stupid.
he's over here now. He only follows Ben Askren's wife.
I don't like that shit when you talk about
Shit's
people's
weak.
wives.
It's like,
too.
come on,
It's
bro.
Like, it's such low level.
It's low level bullshit. It's low
Like, for real.
hanging fruit. That shit is weak. But ultimately, here's what I think is going to be the difference in this fight. Is, yeah, maybe, Jake Paul's younger. Maybe he hits harder. Maybe he's a better boxer ultimately. But you know what? I don't think he has better is like the ability that Ben has to go and execute a game plan.
Yeah, but Ben's a fighter. This kid ain't.
That's
a
what
fighter.
I'm saying.
He's
You know what I'm saying? Though, like his ability,
rookie
like
boxer.
not even
at best.
not even just MMA, but like throughout his life, his ability to create game plans and execute at a high level have literally it's been off the charts if you really think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like even going back to wrestling, how he wrestled, like they call him Funky Ben and all that shit, because he had such crazy like technique and shit like that. So
Yeah.
his ability to make it maybe not look the prettiest, but ultimately get the job done is kind of the signature of Ben Askren. You know what I mean? And we know he was dominant and won and everything like that, but like if you really look at his whole career as a whole, Ben Askren has ultimately been the kind of athlete where you can see maybe he's not the strongest, maybe he doesn't have the best body, all that bullshit. He doesn't have the beach muscles, all that shit. But he is somebody that knows how to put together a game plan, go execute on a high level, and completely shut people down.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a fighter, man.
I
He's a
feel like
fighter.
that's going to be the X factor because I
Jake
think
Paul is
Jake
not a
Paul's
fighter.
going to go in there and just try to knock him out, and he's going to put everything into every single punch he throws at him. And ultimately, I think Ben, hopefully, this is all obviously a hope, but hopefully Ben can, dodge some punches and get out of the way and ultimately win the
Dude,
fight.
Ben's been hit by people hit harder than this fucking kid. I don't care. He's had, 2-3 years in a boxing gym. He's not a fighter. It's not like he's come from the fucking streets in the hood. The dude's living in Calabasas, down the street from Justin Bieber.
But that's
Whatever
the
fuck.
problem, too,
And
though.
going to what boxing gym is he going
That's
to?
the thing, though. That's the problem is he fucking goes and he trains with the best guys, dude. He's over there in fucking Big Bear, fucking training down there,
Just
dude.
because you train with the best guys who are fighters
Yeah.
for a minute doesn't make you into something special.
No, I
especially in
agree.
boxing.
I agree, but I'm saying ultimately when you are the kid who lives in Calabasas and you have all those shit that you can get your hands
He's a
on.
fucking poser.
He is, but you know what I'm saying? He could get the best training. He has the best training possible for anybody to ever start off of.
If he was any good, he wouldn't be trying to fight Nate Robinson
True.
and Ben Askren. No
True.
disrespect to Ben. You would be fighting a boxer in a fucking boxing match, not
sure.
a celebrity bullshit
Yeah.
against the guy who you obviously picked for because he looks ridiculous when he strikes.
Yeah.
Again, he's striking in an MMA
Well,
match,
then
though, where
and
he's
then
worried
the other
about
guy you're
takedowns.
trying to
It's not
fight
the
is
same
also
thing.
a fucking jiu-jitsu guy. like,
Dennis's striking is basic level too. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's the reason he hasn't been in MMA doing much because he's got to do something here.
Yeah.
It's not a jiu-jitsu match.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. Is ultimately, what does this do for Jake Paul if he were to beat Ben Askren?
It just lets him talk more shit.
You think so?
Yes, that's it. He'll be like, I
Because
whooped
I
an
think-
MMA fighter now.
Well, what if he wins like a close decision?
I don't think it does shit for him. It maybe gets him another celebrity fight. No one in boxing is going to look at that and go, oh, okay, you're a real boxer now. Look at your certificate on the wall. That's some poser shit, man. I'm sorry. It is. Yeah, okay, great. He's successful. He's got money, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about fighting shit.
Well, no, but here's what I'm saying is ultimately with his celebrity status, he's undermining the integrity of the sport, but there's still like it's still going to happen is basically what I'm saying. Is like no matter how people who are purists of boxing care about it or people in the combat sports world feel about it, this guy is so popular from YouTube and everything else that he's going to do numbers if he fights himself. Like,
this is what I'm curious if he does numbers against Ben Askren, because nobody outside of MMA knows who the fuck Ben Askren is. Do they? What if you're into Bitcoin? You know him a little bit because he's on the Bitcoin train.
I don't know. He's one of those like. He's one of
Not
those
disrespectful.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
who?
This is
There
gonna
is no
sound
crossover
fucked up.
MMA stars outside of Conor
Yeah.
McGregor.
I mean, George
and major
Conor.
champions.
Yeah, true.
I mean, obviously Khabib, others, but these are major world champions in
Yeah.
elite organizations.
Well, that's more outside of the U.S. than in the U.S. though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, whatever it is, what it is. I can't believe it's getting this much traction, but it's happening.
Who do
And
you
I really
got?
hope Ben. He's a fighter, dude.
I got Ben too.
You can't make yourself a fighter with money because you don't have it in your fucking spirit, dude. I'm sorry.
And if he goes out there and just sleeps,
And maybe
Ben,
he will beat Ben Askren. You're still not a if he starts beating legit boxers, somebody can fucking throw it in the comments and rub it in my face and be like,
Here's the
"Hi,
thing.
now
Here's
see."
the thing.
But
He's
until
riding a fine line, though, because not only has there been rumored with Ben, he's also had literal talks with Michael Bisping's management to box Michael Bisping. Like, that's a fucking game you don't want to play, bro.
Dude, Michael Bisping's a whole different kind of striker than Ben Askren. He's bigger and he
You
knows
will
how to
hurt him.
Yeah, he doesn't want that smoke. As soon as he gets his ass kicked, it's over.
Well, and that's the thing. He wants to fight a guy with one eye.
Right. That's the other thing. You're fighting a guy who's 43 and has one goddamn eyeball.
That's why he said it would have to be an exhibition. You never get any kind of commission to sanction that.
And I'm gonna take issue with something that you said, and it sounds like I'm hating on Paul, which I am. However, you said that he is hurting the integrity of the sport. I don't blame him for trying to do this. He's making money.
Yeah.
He's getting eyeballs. Just because I don't think he's a fighter,
I blame the
doesn't-
sport more for
he's
accepting
getting
it.
sanctioned by
Yeah.
a commission.
Yeah.
Mind you, that we just saw Mike goddamn fucking Iron Mike Tyson couldn't get licensed to fight Roy Jones Jr., and that had to be an exhibition. But Nate Robinson was licensed as a real boxer to fight this dude, and now Ben Askren is coming over, no problem, here's your license.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like,
Well,
what?
Ben makes more sense than Nate Robinson for sure.
Nate Robinson is a joke. You're not giving it to Tyson, and you're giving it to Robinson. And I realize this might have been in different states. I don't even know, but it doesn't matter. It's you see the point.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
It's a
Well,
joke. It's their fault, not
ultimately-
his.
Yeah, ultimately, that's what is the problem too. Is we've seen it in every walk of life at this point. Is social media dictates what we see on the screen, and if we're talking social media,
Yeah.
these two brothers are fucking pretty high up on the game. You know what I
on
mean?
them. I don't hate on that. I respect the game. Shit, I'd be doing it if I could.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, where do you draw the line? You know, because the Connor thing, not a good idea. Fucking Nate Diaz, not a good idea. Michael
Nate Diaz
Bisping,
would
not a good
murder
idea.
him.
Like, what the fuck is he thinking talking shit to these guys? Nate Diaz and fucking Connor.
Well, he talks all that
and
shit,
fucking-
but then he fights Ben Askren.
Well, here's the thing. You don't talk that shit to Nate Diaz because you know what? Nate Diaz will come find you in public. He doesn't give a fuck about no contracts. He doesn't give a fuck about none of that shit. He will show up at the MGM Grand and smack you in the fucking face because you're talking shit.
Go ask Khabib about that.
For real.
That's exactly what happened. And
You know what I
Khabib,
mean?
Sorry,
Like-
didn't do shit. It was
Like,
oh, sorry.
this kid's got to be careful, man.
Yeah.
He's
That's what I mean. He's not a fighter.
It's fucking with real G's.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's really
You
what.
ain't a fighter. You're
Yeah.
dipping your toe in a world you think you know because
Yeah.
you have enough money to like. Why do you think these high-level boxers, or do you think they're just like, oh, gosh, Jake Paul, please waste my time?
Yeah.
No, he's writing them a check.
For sure. Well, that's the thing. Ben said this is the biggest check he's get paid in his whole career. So.
Right. So it's not like they see some like he's a fucking prodigy and Ryan Garcia's like, oh, let me come train with you, Jake Paul.
Yeah.
They're like, here's a fucking check, dude.
Yeah. Here's some followers.
Yeah, and then we'll pump you on our social media. It's a win-win. You'll get
Yeah.
this, blah, 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 and this, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
I don't know what gym he's based out of or where he's been, and I'm not denying that he hasn't been working. Like, obviously he's been putting some time in the gym, but it's 2 fucking years, and you did it when you were, what, 20?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
seriously, any 16-year-old that's been fucking boxing since he was like 6, going to go fucking murder that motherfucker.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Murder you.
Yeah, for sure.
Pull him right
Well,
out of the
that's-
fucking amateur
That's
circuit.
the
You're
thing.
gonna
That's the thing.
fucking
Is
kill
like
him.
that's the thing. Is
So-
like that's why it's so laughable that this Floyd fight's happening too. Because it's like
Right, it's a joke.
that's a fucking
there's no
it's a
chance
joke
against
to think
Floyd.
he'll even land on Floyd.
He'll beat Floyd if he kicks Floyd in the fucking nuts, and Floyd can't go on, and it's some
Yeah.
kind of DQ, and he can be like,
Yeah.
"Ha! I kicked
won."
Floyd's ass."
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you got.
Yeah. Well, let's
Well,
talk
let's move
about
on.
a rumored fight. There's been some mixed statements out about it, but seems like Manny Pacquiao and Ryan Garcia could be happening.
And you bring this up now because there's this talk of it being an exhibition for
Yeah.
no belts, even though
Which
Manny
is
just got
weird.
demoted of his
Yeah.
belt status anyways, that he won
Yeah.
off Thurman because he hasn't
Hasn't fought in
defended
2
it.
years.
But now he's champion in recess, and
Yeah.
the old boy got
It's
promoted
weird.
up.
So now, for some reason, with Ryan Garcia having so many great fights, possibly, just a step away, he's taking this fight, which makes no sense, against a guy who's heavier than him. That, let's just be honest, if Luke Campbell was Manny Pacquiao and he landed that shot on Ryan Garcia would have been flatlined, dog, for sure.
Well, yeah, I can't disagree with that, but I don't know. There's a lot of talk about this fight, but
It's weird. It's
in
like
the
a
past few days from when this is airing, Eric Gomez, who's the president of Golden Boy, came out and was like, yeah, this ain't happening. He just threw a bunch of cold water all over it. He said, quote, there's nothing to talk about there. They contacted us, but it turns out there's nothing to talk about. That fight isn't going to happen. And that's not just anybody. That's president of Golden Boy.
Yeah, I feel it, but also like
So we'll
if it's
see.
an exhibition, he could go around his promotion.
It says some of Garcia's representatives say they're still exploring the idea of putting the fight together, but Golden Boy doesn't see that as a realistic possibility. And said it's much more possible Garcia takes on Teofimo Lopez after a recent meeting with Top Rank's Bob Arum.
Fuck yeah, I'm so
So-
down for that.
Now, you want to talk about a good fight? Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez.
Let's do
But
that.
that's the thing is, I heard Teofimo Lopez on Hotboxing 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, or something like that, and he was talking about he's fighting his mandatory from Australia.
He might have to knock that out of the way real quick. Just kind of like Canelo's about to fight his mandatory, but then, everybody's talking about him fighting
Yeah, Caleb Plant
Caleb Plant now.
After last
to unify.
weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
after Plant
just dominated.
dominated the other Caleb pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a washout.
It was Caleb on Caleb crime.
It was. Caleb on Caleb crime indeed, sir.
But yeah, that's the thing is like I feel like those kind of fights that we're talking about, the legitimate ones, will eventually drown out the Jake Pauls and the and the
it's
Logan
cool.
Pauls of the world.
People are buying it, and I mean they're doing more numbers than the boxing is, unfortunately. But I don't think it's going to last. Not if there's.
If they keep putting on the right fights, that's the thing is like boxing is so weird. Oh, which hey, we didn't even put this on here, but I wanted to talk about it actually. Did you see? You showed me it that they are going to do Fury Joshua, and now Dylan White and Wilder are fighting, and then
Usyk is fighting for the
Usyk's
interim belt
fighting the
against
interim belt.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
sorry, I'm a little baked.
It's all good. I didn't hear about that Dylan White.
Yeah, Dylan White and Wilder are going
Wilder.
to fight.
I'll see that plays out all very nicely.
Well, yeah, because then it gives
Usyk gets his
lines
interim
it up.
title, so then he can fight the winner, or the winner can get stripped, or
But
we can
then
see what happens.
Get Fury Joshua.
But then it's looking like we're getting Fury Joshua this summer, which would be marvelous.
They said May or something like that, right?
I mean, it is coming after 16 months of inactivity for Fury, which kind of sucks because he tried to get a fight in again in December just to stay in shape. But at the same time, it's all right. I mean, Joshua hasn't been doing much either.
Yeah.
I mean, he did just fight that poach or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's been a little bit more active, but
yeah.
Fury's in shape now, unlike the first, say, Wilder fight. So.
Well, and that's the thing is Wilder blocked that warm-up fight for Fury.
Oh, that was stupid. Petty bullshit.
It was.
Wilder done lost his mind.
Yeah,
I hope he regains it.
Well, he's fucking cleared house and everything of like come out with every excuse you can.
And a bunch you never thought you'd hear.
Yeah. Right.
But, yeah, so that's exciting news. I don't think Pacquiao-Garcia is going to happen personally.
Yeah.
I do want to see the Lopez fight. We'll see. We'll see. Lots of interesting things on the table for Garcia.
Yeah.
The Pacquiao shit kind of came out of nowhere.
From left field, and it also kind of threw a wrench in everybody else's plans. Because remember, it was 2 weeks ago, it was Tank and him were finalized, and then now it's Pacquiao, and then it's Lopez, then it's Devin Haney, then it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it all just needs to play out for once. This boxing's thing. Play out for once.
Well, there's a lot of big fights. Boxing's starting to kick it up now that we're into February.
Yep.
And let's hope that trend continues. UFC is doing the same thing. Speaking of kicking it up, we also got the BKFC.
Yep.
Transition, sort of boxing, bare knuckle boxing.
Super Bowl weekend.
It's their biggest
Knucklemania.
event to date that they've ever tried to put on.
Yep.
Headlined by Paige VanZant versus, I guess you could say, a veteran, Britton Hart. Veteran of BKFC, and she's boxing. I mean, she's got 9 or 10 boxing fights, but she's not like. There's a reason
She's
in
4-4-3 in a combat sports record.
Yeah, so she's
weird. Weird record. She's got 3 ties, or draws, I guess. The fuck is that?
Paige is now 8-5 MMA, and she's moved, of course, down to American Top Team in Florida, and is really training with some killers. She's training with Thiago Alves, who's also in the BKFC now.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's a super gym.
Doing the media rounds, talking about her team believes in her abilities.
Yeah.
And she doesn't believe that they're blowing smoke up her ass. So she's feeling a fire on her. I mean, that's not an exact quote, but she's basically saying that.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all are talking shit, but I'm with a high-quality team who believes in me, and I don't think they're blowing smoke up my ass, and I'm going to go out there and put on a fucking good show and win. I don't know.
I tend to be one of those doubters, but
I've been
this
up and
fight
down
I
about
don't.
this.
This fight I'm not doubting. I just think long term, I don't know. I just never really felt like boxing was ever her best skill set. You know what I mean?
Look, in my opinion, Paige's career got a little bit fucked up because of the immediate promotion by the UFC and the fight she really didn't have any business taking, which is why she wound up, I think, with a little bit of stunted growth as an MMA fighter, because she just suddenly she's fighting people with bigger names that are fucking murdering her. Like she had no business fighting like Rose. I mean, it's like, come on. She only got promoted because she's super cute.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I know there's a lot of controversy around what you say on
not even
podcasts.
that. It's just I think she's marketable.
She's very marketable. I mean, let's not be honest. She's like a fucking model, dude.
Yeah.
That's not being degrading.
Fun.
She's gorgeous. Go look at her Instagram. She knows it. They're playing on it. Her and her husband. Her husband's like a good-looking dude, man. Like, they're both taking fucking the sexy photos and putting it all up and making their money, and like that's her thing. And that's why people are giving her this weird criticism of what are you going to do when your face gets cut? Because BKFC cuts the face, and I think that's fucking degrading right there. Like, what? She don't have shit if she doesn't have her beauty?
Yeah, that's true.
Or if she has a scar, she's not going to look good? Like, that's weird. Weird thing to say.
Ultimately, who do you got?
Dude, I don't even know.
Thinking Paige. I would hope Paige. Just for her to cash in and for BKFC to kind of get that bump, I feel like Paige needs to win this.
Look, this fight is getting not a lot, but I mean, it's getting traction on the boxing news sites as well.
Yeah.
And I'm reading some boxing breakdowns. And, like Bad Left Hook had an article all about it. And, I mean, they go back where they watch all of Paige's fucking MMA fights, and they're like, she's not a good boxer, and she's going to get murdered. Yeah. Because Britton Hart actually was a professional boxer, albeit not a good one.
Yeah.
But I don't really think that that's accurate, because you don't
boxing.
When you're
MMA,
boxing
yeah.
in quote unquote in MMA, you're still worried about a takedown. So you're
Kicks
not
and
really
shit, yeah.
boxing.
Yeah.
You're not. It's not the same thing. You can't do the same shit. It's an inaccurate comparison. So I'm up and down on it. I'm really surprised they gave her someone with this much experience. I thought she would have got. They said they signed like 25 women to the flyweight division.
Yeah.
And I thought they would have paired her up with basically a nobody who'd never fought BKFC before also to ensure a win for her. I think it's going to be a tough fight. I hope she wins. I'm going to trust in the fact that she's with a top team down in Florida, no pun intended, and putting in the work solidly on boxing and nothing else.
Yeah.
I think she's a very hard worker. She's definitely talented. And with a pure focus on boxing, perhaps she does have what it takes for this type of thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to tentatively pick Paige. And I'm not worried about her damage to her face or blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to be that surprised if she goes in there and gets her ass kicked either, because it's a whole different world. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, yeah, I'm going Paige too.
There's other fights on this card. Now, that one's getting the publicity, and it's the main event because it's Paige VanZant.
Yeah.
But it's the co-main that's the fighters fight right there. You got Johnny Bedford versus Dat Nguyen for the title. I don't know what the weight class is.
I think it was featherweight.
It's featherweight, but theirs are like different. Like that's not 145 pounds over there.
Yeah.
And right now I can't exactly remember. It's been a minute since the
35.
BKFC. But their weight classes have the names we're all used to, but completely different weights.
Yeah.
Like their lightweights are like 175 or some shit.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's a great title fight, and both those guys are amazing fighters.
Yeah. Bedford coming off that back injury too. I'm wondering how he looks after that. You know.
He's so ferocious in the BKFC. I mean, that's really his home since leaving MMA.
I like Dat Nguyen though.
But Dat Nguyen, since leaving boxing, he has been. Dude,
I like the
he
way
looked so
he's
sick
able
in
to-
his last fight.
Yeah. The way he's able to bob and weave and take punches and give them, it's high level.
And Johnny Bedford's going to stand right there at the scratch line.
Yeah.
And fucking go toe to toe. If
Yeah,
the thing is Dat Nguyen going to let him, or is he going to back out and try to circle around? Because Bedford will literally stand there and be like, point at the fucking line and be like, no, get your ass right here.
Yeah.
He does that shit all the time.
I feel it.
I'm curious to how Dat Nguyen's going to respond.
Yeah,
to
but
that.
Dat Nguyen is one thing he showed is he's willing to take one and give one.
Yeah, both these guys are.
Yeah.
And it ultimately boils down to that back injury. That was
Yeah.
how bad was it?
How bad was it? Is he fully healed? Is there any like residual effects?
That's not a fight I'd be gambling on. I'll tell you that.
I'm taking
I don't
Dat
know.
Nguyen, I think.
I'm taking Bedford. I like Bedford's. You want to talk about a fighter? You know, we were talking about before in the prior segment about Jake Paul not being a fighter. You know who's a goddamn fighter is Johnny Bedford's a fucking fighter, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Dat Nguyen isn't. I know a lot more about Johnny Bedford, though. I mean, I followed his
Yeah.
MMA career, seen him on The Ultimate Fighter, you know, followed him since he got in BKFC, and it's just been on. That's really his home.
Lot
Like,
of
that's
pluses,
that's his fucking area.
Yeah.
And that dude's a fighter.
Oh, for sure.
Like, that's the only thing I don't like about that is it's not the co-main event, but I hope a lot of viewers tune in and see those two guys put on a show.
Yeah.
And I think Bedford's got it. But we got a couple other interesting fights on there too, right? We got who do we got?
Chris Leban, he's got his final fight.
His final fight of not just BKFC, but just his final
career.
combat
Yeah.
sports. Unless he goes and does some BJJ tournament or something, which doesn't really count.
Doesn't really count towards your record.
I mean, it's a combat sport, but it doesn't count like him competing so much.
Yeah. No. Well, I think that about wraps up our little Knucklemania. So let's talk about a fight that was announced during the McGregor pay-per-view. We got Stipe taking on Francis Ngannou for the second time on March 27th.
Heavyweight title finally
Heavyweight
back on the
title.
line.
Yep. Ultimately, if you look at it, it really wasn't that long.
No, I don't think it was that long. I think that a lot of people just like to
What?
harp on shit.
November when they fought, or something, December.
It wasn't that long ago.
But ultimately, I think this is a scary fight if you're Stipe. Just because, like we did just say, it hasn't been that long. And if it's in the smaller cage, Francis is not going to have to use as much to cover distance. You know what I mean? He's going to be able to cut him off a little bit better. That's one thing that Stipe did in the first round of that first fight was he was able to take some of those strikes, but he had Francis just chasing him all over. that Francis was so gassed after the first that then Stipe just went to work, took him down, and beat him up. So now when you look at a fight where the cage is isn't it like 4 feet on each side
It's
smaller?
5 feet. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's a lot of square footage.
yeah,
Shrunk down.
yeah. So the problem becomes, how do you still get away, not take the big shots? You've been knocked out since the last time you fought him. I don't know. You're a little bit older. Francis is in fucking the midst of his prime, without a doubt, whereas Stipe is the champion who's residing over the division.
I don't know. I think Stipe's still sitting pretty heavy in his prime, having just beat
He's talking about
Daniel
retirement
Cormier
after his
handily.
last
I
fight,
mean,
though.
Not really.
Before the fight, him and
he was
DC
just
were
talking shit.
You think?
Yeah, he's not seriously considering retirement. He's like 32 years old, 33 years old. He's not even.
Yeah,
an old
but he's
heavyweight.
also one kind of guy who is. He's very content with where he's at, and also he's not a guy who really values, like, he's not going to be one of those guys who retires, comes back 5 years later because he's out of money.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, Stipe
wouldn't see
he's
that
kind
happening.
of set. You know what I mean? He's got his job. He's got his tenure from. He's got all his insurance and everything from being a firefighter and all that shit. That, like, he did. Ultimately, he fights in the UFC because he loves it, not because he needs to anymore. And basically, what I'm saying is, like, when you're talking about a guy like Ngannou, you're pretty much stacking all the chips against Stipe. Like, if you really look at it.
I don't know. He went 5 rounds with this guy. It's not like Ngannou got stronger. Is he a better fighter now? Well, sure.
I think so.
And is Stipe, do you think he's gotten any better having gone 3 fucking fights with Daniel Cormier, one of the greatest of all time? Do you think,
Honestly,
of course he has.
I do and I don't, though, because
Like,
I think
Ngannou had nothing for him. It was 5 rounds
Yeah.
of just dominance. And I don't think he's just going to
that first
run
round
out
was a
there
little
and,
iffy.
and trade shots with him in the middle. I would be shocked. I expect Stipe to still have a chip on his shoulder. I think he's annoyed he still has to do this fight again. I think he wanted that big John Jones fight first. I think he felt like he earned it because he already beat fucking Ngannou.
Well, that's the problem. Is
And it was really Daniel Cormier's fucking around that held up the
Yeah,
division
held
for
everything
so
up.
long.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
I mean, Stipe, yes, it got held up, but it was because of his eyes. Daniel Cormier was fucking around with Brock Lesnar and shit that held
Yeah.
stuff up with that first rematch.
well, you know what? Then they disguised it as he wasn't by him taking a short notice fight and fighting Derek Lewis. So it, like, made it look like he wasn't holding the division up. But if you
Derek
remember
Lewis,
that,
they gave him like $1 million.
well, no, and that's the
backstage
thing.
for that,
That's
too.
the thing too. Remember, he did it on 14 days' notice because another title fight fell out.
Yeah.
So it's like they tried to make it seem like, oh, DC has always been ready to fight, blah, 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 blah. But in reality, it was Stipe was begging him, let's go, let's go, let's go. And he's like, nah, it's
Stipe
fine.
would have fought him right then.
Actually, no, Stipe did not want to fight him on 12 days' notice, which I don't blame him. I would
don't
not
blame him
fight the
either.
biggest fight of my career on 12 days' notice. That's just stupid. But at the same time, it just feels like this heavyweight division, like we said earlier, going back to Cain Velasquez. It's just a
Dude, Kane fought once a year forever.
once
man.
a year forever, freaking.
It's been the norm for a while, so I
I
don't
don't
understand
like
why
it.
all the hate is. I don't like it either, but it is what it is with the big boys.
Yeah.
But Ngannou's here. He can look. I respect him. He's a great fighter. His constant whining about his title shot has gotten on my nerves. But he's here. He's getting it next month.
Yeah.
If he knocks him out, great. Otherwise, I think he's just going to get wrestled down again.
I think Francis wins this fight, unfortunately. I like Stipe a lot, but I just think all the chips are stacked against Stipe right now. If you really look at it, just
All
from
Ngannou
the,
has is the power. What
He does,
Ngannou's
but
going to hit him. That's it. That's all he can do. He's not going to wrestle him. He's not going to kick him.
we don't
He's-
know that though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
is
we
like
do.
we don't though because he's been
Because
training.
Ngannou's had 4 straight knockouts with what his.
No,
his
I'm not
ground
saying
and-
that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we don't know how he's since their last fight. He's pretty much changed everything. He left his old gym that he was in, like Paris or wherever he was at in France. Came out to here. He's lived here for 3 years. He's training with guys who I actually personally know that are like high level wrestlers, Div 1 wrestlers, every single day, literally every single day. I know his training partner, like literally.
I'm not saying he's not putting.
No,
in
I'm
work.
not saying that.
I mean,
I'm just
I get
saying.
that.
I'm just saying we haven't gotten a chance to see any of his improvements because he goes in there and knocks people out. So let's see if he is not able to knock Stipe out, what is he progressed in? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, where has he evolved? Because I don't think this is the same fight as the first fight. It's like the same thing with
Fair enough.
Same thing
We'll
with
see.
like Conor and Poirier. It's like they're just two different guys now. Like Stipe is weathered the storm. Stipe is pretty much the GOAT of the division. His legacy is in stone. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think he's definitely the GOAT of the division.
Yeah, but I'm saying like whereas like Francis is the one who has something to prove here. He's been like you said, he's been talking nonstop about how he's the one who needs to fight for the belt. He's this, he's that. He's gonna fight out his UFC contract if they don't give him his title shot. All this stuff. So now here's your real chance to really show us where you one have evolved and two all the shit you've been saying. Show us
We'll
what's
see.
happening. Show us what's up. You know.
Next month, and we'll dive into it a little further as it gets closer. But it's finally set in stone. Finally announced. March 27th.
Yep.
So, a little less than 8 weeks.
So let's get into the unfortunate part of the show.
We had I don't know if anybody heard. There was a Conor McGregor fight. We're not really going to break that down at this point because we didn't have an episode last week, so there's no need to really rehash it. Everybody knows McGregor got knocked out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of opinions. I really haven't brought mine up, and we can talk about that. I don't think there's really need to rehash too much of the fight, other than I thought he, in my opinion, I'll state mine, and you can tell me yours. I thought he looked underprepared. I thought he looked befuddled by leg kicks. I thought that he looked like he was way overloading his punches, flat-footed, and no movement, no kicks, no idle portal fucking style bouncing around. I was hugely disappointed. And then he came out in the second round, and then he's got his fucking hands down and gets KO'd. And I'm just like, wow, that was embarrassing.
Yeah, I think the key word is inactivity for that fight. If you look at everything he got exposed with, have all really, like you could say, obviously leg kicks have been happening for years and years and years, but that specific leg kick to that like part of the like muscle, like that's only been really deployed in the UFC for probably the last 3 to 4 years. Obviously, there's guys who have come and gone, have done shit like that, and similar things like Benson Henderson and stuff like that. But it's kind of a universally used
They're going
move
for
now.
that nerve. The same thing
Yeah.
you got Sean O'Malley.
You got Sean O'Malley, you got
Cejudo made it through.
Michael Chandler, fucking even Dustin Poirier when he fought Gaethje. Like there's
See, I
so
disagree though.
like,
I don't think that's inactivity. I think that's you know what? John Kavanaugh's fucking up at this point. How do you have your fighter unprepared?
Yeah.
It's notoriously known that fucking Conor runs his own training camps,
Yeah.
right? They talk about it all the time. Like, he's such a wizard. We just let Conor tell us what to do.
You can just tell he's boxing a lot, like a lot.
Have you seen the fucking side by side of him in the Poirier fight, standing, flat-footed, arms up like he's fucking
Like he's
fighting
boxing.
Floyd?
Look, you know what he looks like?
And then-
he looks like his old school T-shirts.
Right.
Like he's-
Exactly.
like-
With the stick man?
Yeah, that's what he looks
Exactly.
like.
And then the footage of him before where he's like in his karate stance, he's
Yeah.
spread wide, he's bouncing on the balls of his feet, he's got movement. He used to get clowned for dragging that idle portal fucking dude around with him.
Yeah.
That dude was onto shit. He
Maybe.
had no movement. He came out here and just threw some fucking punches and was like, oh shit. And then he got fucking leg deaded with a kick that we've all been seeing.
Yeah.
Y'all not watch tape?
Yeah. True.
It's southpaw on southpaw. It's even easier to kick that leg.
Yeah.
You didn't fucking watch any tape on this shit?
Well, that's another thing I heard Joe Rogan talking about. Is like he knew that Conor was done when he went. When he went to the corner, everyone was like, "Oh shit, Conor went to the corner and didn't take the stool." And Joe Rogan was like, everyone thought that was like a move, like he wasn't tired, but if he sat down, his leg would have completely swole up. So, like, there's a little things that guys probably in Dustin Poirier's corner saw as well, and were like, dude, he's not sitting down. His leg's fucked. Go take him out. And once again, like we did say, it's just like a situation where Conor got caught with his hands down. He's never been knocked out before. Like, let's just, like, ultimately, like, that's just what it is. And, Yeah, I think it's a learning experience for sure. If he
I don't know
wants
if
to,
it is at this point.
he seems like he wants to come back. So
Same thing happens to fucking fighters who have great punching power and huge success, man.
Yeah.
It happens in boxing, and now we don't have a lot of examples of it in MMA because no one has achieved the level of cash that McGregor has in mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
So you can't really go and be like, oh, so-and-so did this in MMA. So, but you can go back to Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
All right, Mike Tyson made a shitload of money and fell in love with his power. Right, and those two things combined to him just going out and forgetting what? His movement, his peekaboo defense, and just winging fucking blows. He'd try to get inside, and then he would just throw fucking haymakers.
It's true.
Which Conor wasn't quite there, but
But
boy,
he's
it
on
sure
his
was a
way.
lot closer.
yeah. Well, that's the thing is like let's not completely bury it though, because he did have moments in that fight where he had Dustin rocked, and he did go to the ground and was able to get back up and just scoot to the cage, climb the cage, get back up and get going. Like ultimately,
Yeah, he did.
that those moments of the fight give you, well, at least give me the idea that okay, with a few adjustments, he can go back into that fight, and that's a very, very competitive fight.
I just don't know. Like I'm circling back because this is the exact doubt that I had prior
it was
to the
waves,
Cerrone
man.
fight, man.
There was waves in that fight, though. It was like we came out and Conor started hitting Dustin just a little bit. So then Dustin's like, all right, well, I'm wrestling you then. Tried to wrestle him. Conor got up on the cage. It was a lot of exchanges, a lot of Conor
All
even
fists though. There was no kicks. Conor didn't do shit.
yeah,
with
but the
kicks.
knees and the elbow strikes and the freaking in the clinch for those like small minutes. Like I thought Conor got the best of him there, and then right after that is when he had Dustin on the cage and he was tooling him up. And then right when he hit him, he went overstretched and Dustin hit him with that right hook going into the end of the round. I felt like both them kind of rocked each other at the end of the first. So I thought the first Conor won like barely. but
Yeah, I
he
had
won
Conor
the
win in the first round, but clearly his leg was in trouble. Like,
Yeah, and then in the second round he came out and he was winning the round again. But what ended up happening was instead of him pushing Dustin to the fence and making Dustin answer to his strikes, what he was doing is his leg was shot, so Dustin walked him down, and then it turned into a counter fest where he thought he could counter him with his hands down and got fucking. It was just a wave. Like it literally was like pretty chill, but then literally when Dustin was winning that fight, it was like all of a sudden Dustin hit him with like a 10-piece combo. Like it was fucking nuts. Like it was like, okay, this is super competitive, and then out of nowhere, Conor's hands are down. He's getting hit with fucking 10 shots in a row, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, he was winning the fight. Like, that's what's
he was
crazy.
losing his leg though. He wouldn't have made it much further than that. I don't think he would have had to hope he could KO fucking Dustin, but I don't know. I just don't see it.
I
I'm
think he's
massively
gotten
disappointed.
he's gotten too stuck in the middle. Too stuck in the middle of two sports. Pick one. Be an MMA fighter or be a boxer. But ultimately, you got to pick one, because if you're going to go be a boxer, more power to you. You know, like ultimately, you were a great striker in the UFC, and maybe there's some boxing matches in which you could be competitive in, and like that's.
Oh no, I mean he basically blew all that. I mean, that's why suddenly Pacquiao and Garcia were fucking making noise because Conor lost, because Pacquiao was dead in on fighting Conor. He was making just as much noise, if not more, than Conor to boxing outlets about that's what we wanted. Now, of course, he doesn't. But
you know what I'm saying? Like, he needs to just pick one. If he's gonna fight MMA, then do MMA.
maybe he should consider a fucking new camp at this point.
I don't think it's the camp. I think it's the coaches. I think he can keep the same camp as far as sparring partners and stuff like that. But I think he needs to mix his coaches up a bit. I think that I don't know. It's just rough. It's rough. It's a weird
Look,
situation.
you got to look at the body of work, and all due respect to John Kavanaugh, but look at, like, he's supposed to be this great game planner. Well, the game plan against Khabib was garbage, okay? Literally, at one point, the game plan...
Also,
he said,
Conor wasn't answering.
Hold on. He said that the game plan at one point was to not try to even get up when he got taken down, but to just let Khabib wear him out. Just hope Khabib wears out and ride it out. He literally said that try not to get up as part of the game plan for Khabib. That's
a terrible
That's
idea.
not a good idea.
Yeah, no.
And now this masterpiece Conor was going to paint, this game plan. What, your game plan got thwarted with leg kicks from a southpaw versus southpaw, where you and I are what? We're not professionals.
Yeah.
But we both know that those leg kicks are easier to land in the southpaw and southpaw. We both know that Conor's stance makes him a problem. Like we saw in the Diaz
and that's the thing
fight.
too, is even Conor's stance was even more vulnerable this time, I felt, than it ever has been.
I don't think Conor will leave.
I think the Diaz fight happens next. I
It
think
might.
Diaz 3.
It might.
I think that's ultimately what happens next.
They're
Because
both coming off losses.
They're both coming off losses. They're both looking for.
I mean, Diaz got worked over by Maz. Fucking
Yeah.
Conor just looked terrible. I mean, terrible.
Yeah.
Dude, when you lose the fire, you lose the fire. Conor's whole fucking life. I mean, none of us are going to be lucky enough to ever understand what it's like to have a incredible burning desire for these certain goals, right? And they're huge, humongous goals.
Yeah.
And then to achieve them. Like, he wanted to be a 2-weight champion in Cage Warriors and then go do it in the UFC, which is really hard. And then he added fighting Floyd in there at a time when everybody said that was knuckin' futz. Nobody said that was going to ever happen when he first started chirping about it. He was fucking crazy. Then he made that happen.
Yeah.
And then what? Like, you have all this money. Then you go make a whiskey business, and guess what? That's a huge fucking success, too, which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
And then he's got more money than God, more money than we know about, more money than Forbes puts on there. We don't know how much money he's got. He's got the titles he wanted, and then what? It's like, well,
shit went sideways.
I'm sorry, there's no way on earth your fucking drive is the same after you achieve that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You're just kind of left there like, okay. And sure, you can make a new goal. Mm-hmm. We've all seen a video. That motherfucker didn't even have a gym. They had no plumbing. He was sleeping in a room with no plumbing in a gym that had no fucking... It was just mats on the fucking floor in the beginning. And he's like, we're going to make it to the UFC or whatever. Like, we've all seen it.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking shit. I'm saying this is a reality of life, dude. When you achieve those heights and then you get there, I'm sorry. I just don't think Conor McGregor is going to wake up with the fire it takes to compete with Dustin Poirier, who hasn't achieved all that fucking shit, or a Justin Gaethje, who has not achieved all of that, who hasn't had every fucking dream he ever made come true.
Yeah.
Where he can literally make sure his grandkids are set.
Yeah.
They haven't done that. So they still got that burning goddamn desire when they wake up. And I don't think Conor has it. I think his team gives him way too much control in the camps. And
he kind of does what he wants.
he better be careful and he don't get his ass kicked in his next fight, because then his brand is going to suffer.
Well, here's the thing. There's two ways this story ends. So if he fights Nate Diaz next, he wins, he gets Poirier, and then, that's the best case scenario for him. To beat Nate Diaz, to get a third fight with Poirier, possibly get the belt back. That's the best case scenario for him. Worst case scenario is a fucking Nate Diaz third fight's a fucking coin flip at the end of the day. And let's say he goes in there and loses, his career is pretty much over.
Yes.
That's just where
I'm not going to cry any tears over that. He was a huge success. It doesn't
Yeah.
throw shade on his prior accomplishments. Dude, he was a streaking fucking comet.
Yeah.
They tend to burn out quick.
Yeah.
People said that before he even achieved it. That people like this tend to fucking achieve it and flame out. And that's not a knock, dude.
It's not a knock. It's
Jesus,
just everybody has their window. And once
He's
you get once you achieve, like you said, it's a famous freaking quote that's been said 100 million times, but it's hard to wake up when you're freaking sleeping in whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to wake
sheets.
up at 5 a.m. and go running when you're sleeping in silk pajamas.
Yeah.
It is,
it's
man.
hard. It is. When you're on a fucking yacht with 3 kids, your wife's or 2 kids, your wife's about to have a third, and you got butlers and freaking,
He drove that yacht to Abu Dhabi.
To Abu Dhabi, and he just bought another one after.
You think those guys were having that nice plane ride? Conor drove his yacht to Abu Dhabi. His Lamborghini yacht.
It's fucking nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's shit we don't get.
Yeah.
And it's awesome he can do that. And it's not bad that you don't wake up with the burning desire to go in there in a fucking cage and get knocked around with people. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying he can't come back and achieve it. Certainly, great athletes
Still
do it
possible,
all the time. But
I
don't think it's going to happen, in my opinion.
It's a rough situation
And I'm a huge
overall.
fan. Still love the guy.
Yeah, I am too, but it's
love
just,
Conor, but
it is what it is.
I also look at reality.
Yeah.
You got your ass kicked.
It's mixed martial arts. It's the whoever the hungriest man is, the young eat the old, and it's ever changing, and that's why it's so freaking great. It's why we love it. No one ever really. If you really go back, there's usually some kind of parity in all these divisions. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep. So let's talk about also in that division, Michael Chandler came in as the former Bellator champ and just looked ridiculous.
Now, Michael Chandler fighting Dan Hooker. That was
Dan Hooker looked scared, man.
That was
It was very strange.
It was very strange.
Dan Hooker backed up, ran into the cage and got knocked out. That's ultimately what happened.
Yeah,
talk about making a splash, though. Holy shit.
He made a huge splash. That was an amazing fight.
Absolutely. Michael Chandler, the one to watch in 2021. If I'm you. They're saying that he's not going to get the belt right away or get the title shot right away, which I understand. You beat the number 6 guy in the division, first fight in UFC, all that jazz. But I do think I would like to see maybe Poirier and Do Bronx for the belt, the vacant belt, and then Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler for the number 1 contender.
See, is Michael Chandler fight for the title against Dustin Poirier?
I think there's still a little bit of work he's got to do, but yeah, ultimately I think that's the fight.
Well, who do you think should get the title shot next?
I think Do Bronx. That fight over that beatdown of Tony Ferguson it's gotta hold weight, especially after what he did to Kevin Lee.
Well, that's one
also.
name on his resume. Kevin Lee doesn't really carry that much weight anymore.
At the time,
that
it
hasn't
did.
aged. Yeah, how long ago was that? He beat Kevin Lee a couple years ago.
No, it was a year ago. He was the last fight.
Kevin Lee coming back down after welterweight, getting his beat down at welterweight.
Yeah, but he was still ranked 9th in the division.
So 9th.
And then Tony Ferguson was ranked 4th when he beat him.
Tony Ferguson coming off the loss to Gaethje.
Yeah, but ultimately, it's still freaking Tony Ferguson won 14 fights before that.
Well, I was just clarifying. I just think he's the one that needs more. I mean, the UFC said that Chandler was the backup for Khabib Gaethje, which automatically gives him a status of being the de facto number 1 contender. Then they pair him up with a number 5 guy who he dominates within a ridiculous ease.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I'm just basing a lot of that on where the UFC said he was by making him the backup to the title fight. They're like saying, you're the guy. True. They didn't make Du Bronx the backup to the title fight. You know?
I see what you're saying.
So that's what I'd like to see, but I'm not gonna say Bronx hasn't. He's on a good win streak. It's not the best. He's got Tony Ferguson and is a good win. Kevin Lee is a decent win. Yeah. I don't know if both of those equal a title shot, but he's, if not, no more than another one.
Yeah.
And maybe one more fight, maybe not.
Yeah.
But I
think that
I think the UFC wants to be in the Chandler business while Chandler is hot.
Yeah, he's in there for a good time, not a long time. He's, 34, 35, something like that?
Joe Rogan's out there saying he'd beat up McGregor, too.
Probably. Who knows?
We'll see.
But let's take a look at this card coming up.
Oh, wait. One more thing. You know what else died out with that McGregor knockout?
What's that?
Is the whole Khabib's coming back bullshit. Dana finally let it go. Nah. He was like, "Oh yeah, I guess it's not gonna happen."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was holding on.
You fooled nobody.
Yeah.
Knuckleheads like me and Paul knew that like weeks ago, bro. Yeah. You fooled nobody.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I think even the public knew. Let's just be honest.
Was there anybody that actually thought Khabib was coming? I mean,
no.
I cringed every time I heard one of those guys in the press conference say it. Like Chandler sounded so great in the press conference until he was like, "I'm really excited that I have the potential to audition for Khabib." And I'm like, "Dude, you're not auditioning for Khabib, bro." I mean, did they tell you to say that? Because come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
You know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. You're right.
That died. That was the good part of that.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens with McGregor. We'll see. Dustin should definitely be fighting for the title next. I don't think there needs to be.
I think he should just be the champion. I think they should just award him the belt. I'm just kidding. Do a straight Jose Aldo on them.
Just here you go.
Remember they did it to Aldo when Conor left.
Yeah, they did. They were just like, here you go,
Yeah,
here's your
yeah.
belt back.
There you go.
That's true, they did.
Sorry. Then Max beat his ass. But so let's talk about this weekend coming up. There's a
decent
lot of
fight
good
card.
fights.
Yeah, return to
A lot of good
Vegas, return to
fights.
the Apex, return to the small cage.
Yup.
Although there's going to be some sort of change. It made news here this week that there's going to be a limited crowd at the next
Limited
pay-per-view,
crowd, yeah.
the Usman Burns pay-per-view here in Vegas.
Uh-huh. On the 14th, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, I guess that's at the Apex, too. I don't know what kind of crowd they can pack in there. If you can pack a crowd, you should pack in a bigger goddamn cage. How about that? But,
True.
you know,
Well, the
Dana
contender
quit
series
listening
used
to me
have a
for
crowd.
advice years ago.
Years
So,
Stop calling you.
yeah. Motherfucker seems to have lost my number. So, whatever, Dana.
Well, I think we should kind of go up and down the card, kind of give our picks.
What fights you like? What do you like here on the opening round of this card?
I'd say my favorite fight of the card is probably Sandhagen and Edgar. It's probably
That's a crossroads for Frankie Edgar.
well, not really though. He's coming off a win with Munoz. If he beats Sandhagen, that's like he's right in there.
That's a big.
Sounds
if.
crazy.
No, it's not crazy. He was
But-
already saying if he beats Sandhagen, he feels he should get a title shot.
He should. I mean, look
It's
at
not-
where bantamweight's at. Look at all the guys who have fought each other already. It's like, come on.
I'm hoarding this bong. Did you?
I
want to
know.
hit
I
this?
saw that. You
I put it down on the
you
floor.
Took it away
I'm
from
like,
me.
I got half
So
green
you put
still.
it in timeout.
Then I'm like, ha.
I'm just kidding.
Here
Go
you
ahead.
go.
Oh wait, there's this pipe right here. No, you go ahead. You go ahead, sir.
Oh, you take the lighter and the pipe. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll just hold the bong.
Yep.
Word. Yeah, that's a great fight, dude. I like that better than the main event. There's a lot of good fights. So what's the opening one here? We got.
So on the prelim main event, we got Clay Guida taking on Michael Johnson.
God, that would have been a main event years ago.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's a pretty solid fight.
Yeah.
I mean, for entertainment value.
Absolutely.
I mean, nobody's getting title shots with a win here, but
Yeah, obviously. But I think Michael Johnson's gonna take this just because I think he's a little less over the hill than Clay Guida is. Ultimately,
Michael Johnson had a lot of fights before the UFC.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why his record looks so shitty when
looks
you look at
shitty,
it.
but he's one of the top.
Yeah, he's a very good fighter.
He's fought some of the top.
If you're
guys.
new to MMA and you see his records, you might think this dude sucks, but he's not at all.
No,
He's a very elite fighter.
Yeah,
I expect him to beat Clay Guida here.
me too.
Guida's been great,
Yeah,
but his best days were 5 fucking years ago.
yeah,
If not longer.
maybe.
I mean, he was Strikeforce too, right?
No, WEC.
WEC, yeah, WEC.
Yep.
There's people that just heard you say that. They're like,
What the fuck is that?
WEC? What is
Whack.
what's WEC? Is that the WWF wrestling? Is that what they mean? No. World Extreme Cage Fighting.
Yeah,
Well, that'll be an entertaining fight, though. I expect Michael Johnson to take it, but that
I
should be
do too.
fun, dude.
yeah.
They can both
sure.
go. Guida bounces around like a maniac still.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still got
Smack
some
shit out
fight
of
in him.
himself while he
Yeah.
goes in there.
Yeah, he's a fun dude, man.
Oh yeah.
Fun guy.
Oh yeah. So then going on up on the start of the main card, we got Beneil Dariush taking on Diego Ferreira. I don't know how to say
Diego
it.
Ferreira.
But you got Ferreira coming off the win against Anthony Pettis about a year and a half ago. Still.
God,
Then Dariush coming off that crazy knockout on who was that?
the wrestler, is it Gregor Gillespie?
No. Damn it. I hate that I can't remember right now. Yeah, I'm not going to remember.
All right,
But
well, he's
either
coming off
way.
a big KO.
Yeah, for sure. And 2 of them right in a row. Damn it. Of course, I can't remember his name right now.
Well, I'm just going to look it all up real quick with his big
Mhm.
KOs. Yeah, he's fighting. I mean, Carlos Diego Ferreira is 17-2. I mean, he's no
Yeah.
joke. He's definitely legit.
Shit. I can't believe I can't
I
remember.
know we're
his
having
name.
this big, long, awkward pause.
I know.
here on
It's
the radio.
terrible. Terrible.
It's terrible, like Charles Barkley
Dude,
said.
what the fuck is that guy's name?
Well, I'm going to find his... All All right, here we go. He beat Scott Holtzman with a KO with a spinning back fist in his last fight on the Lewis Olenek card. Then he also beat Drakkar Klose with a KO
That's
punch.
what I was thinking.
Before that, he subbed fucking Frank the Tank Camacho.
Yep.
And then he subbed Drew Dober before that.
Yep.
And then he had a decision over some Tiago, somebody or the other, before he did get KO'd by Alexander the Great Hernandez. Yep. That was way back in 2018, which after the COVID seems like a lifetime ago. That was the before time.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, and these are kind of those two guys that are like, I think they're 13th and 11th in the division. They're kind of guys that, like, you know, they're a tough out, so they got to fight each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, nobody wants to fight these guys. Both of them are very, very good.
I like Dariush. He's been super impressive lately. I think he's going to continue his run. He's always been a great fighter. He had that little bit of rough patch with the loss to Edson Barboza back when Barboza was really hot.
Yeah.
After that, I think he had a draw to Evan Dunham. And then, you know.
He got knocked out by James Vick.
And then he's put on a nice run here lately. Yeah. Ooh, speaking of James Vick real quick, did you see how bad he got beat down in that, what was that,
XFC
MMA
or something like that?
Oh my God!
Terrible.
He looked like a guy who'd never even fought before, bro. No. I was shocked watching that.
Craziness.
Terrible beatdown.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 6 in a row now. I think I was like 10-1. Now he's 10-6. Or he's 11-1. Now he's 10-7. Something. He's lost 6 in a row though. Yeah. Mostly KOs.
Yeah.
It's not good. Not good.
So you get for calling Justin Gaethje Homer Simpson.
I know. And that was like his worst thing he could have done. Then he just diving down. Yep. But anyways, I like Dariush with the win here.
Yeah, I do too.
He's tough. He's gonna go on a nice little run
here. Then going on up the card, we got Cody Stamann taking on Andre Ewell.
That's a good fight. I like Andre Ewell.
I like Ewell. He's coming off a loss though, unfortunately.
That he is.
Stamann's a tough out.
Stamann's a very tough kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. He's gonna have his hands full, but I expect that to be a very action-packed fight.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Stamann.
Yeah, I like Ewell in that fight. I think he's gonna pull through.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
And then
see how he bounces back.
We got a 135 women's fight. We got Marion Reneau taking on Macy Chiasson, former Ultimate Fighter winner.
Tough winner at 45.
Moves down to 35. Marion Reneau has had some pretty big performances in her last two. You know, she's kind of one of those. She's one of those fighters that kind of got into she kind of got into women's fighting at the beginning of it. You know what I mean? Where she's like, I believe, 42 or 43 or something like that, and she's still fighting these top level. You know.
Well, we'll see if Macy can handle a little bit of a. I think that's a tough out for her. I
think Marion's gonna win.
I think she is too. We'll just leave it at that.
All right, and then our co-main event we talked about it a little bit before, but Frankie Edgar taking on Corey Sandhagen.
Corey Sandhagen is a lot taller than Frankie Edgar.
He is,
and he's very tough. He's very dynamic. He's got a kind of an awkward style.
Yeah, he's good on the ground.
Very good on the ground.
Frankie's good everywhere, though.
Frankie's good everywhere. I'm just not sold on him yet at 135. Is the thing.
I thought he showed a lot of grit and a lot of heart in his fight against Pedro Munoz, where he was able to take his biggest shot. That's one of the biggest, in my opinion, that was one of the best strikers in the division. You know.
Yeah, he's tough.
And I think he was ultimately able to take Munoz's best strikes, keep going, and was able to string combos together and get the win in that fight. So I think this is going to either be, Edgar's shot to the title or Sandhagen's. You know what I mean? This is a title eliminator in my opinion.
If anybody could come through and win another title, it'd be Frankie Edgar.
I think so.
However, he's going to have his hands full. I mentioned earlier that to me it's kind of a crossroads fight, but it's not like, yes, he's coming off a win against a very, very handy competitor. But what I mean is, as far as if you're gonna get that title shot, this is your chance. You got to beat this guy right here and right now.
Well, he changed divisions for this. This is the whole reason he moved to 35, is he wanted to make one last run.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So ultimately, I think it's just what he's going out there and fighting for at this point. And in the main event, who are you taking?
Dude, I love Frankie. I can't pick against Frankie. I'm just going to pick as a fan.
I'm going Frankie, but I would not be surprised if Corey wins this fight.
Right, absolutely. I want to see Frankie go on a run. I'd love to see Frankie win another world title. I think that'd be awesome. I really love the guy.
Yeah.
This fight will tell us a lot. If he beats Sandhagen, I think he has what it takes to go in. Yeah. Could you be competitive with Peter Yan? Yeah, I think you can. I think I might be able to beat him. Yeah. Sandhagen's tough. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. I'm excited for it though. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see him go out there and get murdered. Yeah. I don't want to see another like Korean zombie performance.
Yeah, no.
Like that would not be good. Yeah, so we'll see.
Not at all. And in the main event, we got Alistair Overeem taking on Alexander Volkov.
Heavyweight action from Alistair Overeem, still around.
I think that Overeem's going to whoop Volkov's ass.
Overeem is very, very, very interesting to me.
Yeah.
He also said if he wins that title, he's immediately retiring.
I don't blame him though? Yeah.
He's the only one missing from his resume. I mean, he's such a decorated fighter. And to still be competitive and in a title picture, even at heavyweight, to me is very impressive.
Very, very impressive. Yeah.
He's had so many ups and downs, and he's been on a nice up streak here overall. Yeah. I think he's going to win, too. And I think he's going to make some noise in the title picture with a win after, we get this Ngannou Stipe thing sorted out, and then the impending John Jones coming in.
And then the Cyril Gane and Rosenstrike fight happens. I think he could get that rematch with Rosenstrike.
Yeah, I could see that too, for sure. That was he was winning that fight all the way up till the
5 seconds left.
The last 5 seconds left with that crazy lip thing.
Yeah.
Which
and even some didn't think the finish was justified.
Right, but his lip looked so crazy, and circling back to the beginning of the show, we were talking about Paige VanZant getting cut. Have you seen Overeem's face? Mm-hmm. He looks fine. Normal. You can't he had half his lip completely ripped off, and you can't. I don't even see a scar. Dude.
Modern medicine is what it is. Yeah. People who say that shit are just saying that shit because they want her to be like, oh, I don't care.
They're just haters.
They just want.
That's the way of being a hater while sounding concerned.
Yeah.
Oh, what if she cuts her pretty little face?
Yeah, she's a fighter at the end of the day. Yeah.
But I like that match. I like Overeem in it. I'd love to see him.
Yeah, I think Overeem as well.
God, if he won the title, that would be. You'd have to start talking about him then in the greatest heavyweights of all time, just because of his resume. He'd have every major title there is.
That's what's crazy is who is he? That's why I just don't see it happening. Because who's he gonna beat? Who's gonna be the heavyweight champion? John Jones, Ngannou, or Stipe? Stipe knocked him out, and Ngannou knocked his head still floating in the air since the Ngannou fight. And fucking Jones trained with him for years. Jones will just take him apart.
Yeah, Jones will fuck him up. Well. Good fight though. Decent weekend of cards leading into the the pay-per-view where we week after this we have Gilbert Burns finally getting his shot at the welterweight title against Kamaru Usman, which is a fight I like a lot.
Yeah,
it's a fight I'm going to bet money on.
Me too.
I got a good feeling about this one.
Me too.
And the odds are right. And we'll talk about who we're going to place money on next week.
Sounds good. All right.
I think that wraps up our show.
I think it wraps our show up for today.
If you're brand new to the show, you can catch us at every major podcast outlet there is, from Google Play to Spotify to Verbal to Deezer to Apple Podcasts and everything else in between. You can find video on YouTube. You can even catch us on WBUZ 95 on the Orange Radio app and radio.net. All that information we've managed to put together in one handy spot. Paul, where's it at?
SWATMMA.com, where you can head over there, click the gear button, buy yourself a t-shirt, a jacket, support your favorite podcast, So, thanks, guys.
We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Later.